let's get into the steps that I take when I notice that my child is maybe reenacting something they have seen in the classroom. It's not really looking like them, it's looking like somebody else. So the number one step to this, and the most important step, is to So whether we like it or not, it is super common for children to see other kids at school or daycare doing certain things and want to come home and test those things out, right? They want to see, okay, well, how do my caregivers respond to these things? I saw it in one environment, but how does it translate in this environment? They want to test out boundaries, and fundamentally they are trying to process what they are exposed to in different environments. And since we are one of their best teachers, it makes sense that they want to see our opinion, see our reaction, see our response to certain things to further understand different behaviors and social cues and all of that good stuff. So it is super common for kids to do this. So if it hasn't happened to you yet, don't worry, it's coming. And so I want to share in this episode how I've responded to misbehavior picked up in the classroom, so that overall I am helping my daughters, one, increase their self-awareness, increase their awareness to what they're doing, but then also become critical thinkers and really help them make a conscious choice about how they want to be in the world. And I want to help empower them in a way that doesn't induce unnecessary shame about the behavior or secrecy about the children in their class, right? There's an art to this, and it's always a delicate balance. So I'm going to share kind of how these conversations look at our home. Now, a few caveats before I get into it is that, one, the concept of choices is something that we regularly come back to as a family. I'm always trying my best to instill the value that we all have the power to choose, no matter what other people are choosing to do, no matter how we feel in the moment. I'm always trying to help them understand that you have the power to choose. Now, it's not about, always making the perfect choice, but even when we make a mistake, we get to reflect on that mistake, reflect on that choice, and look back and see, okay, well, what could we have done differently, or what did I really need in that moment, right? So the concept of choices is something that I'm regularly coming back to, because I think that it has a very profound impact, not only personally in how they think and feel about themselves, but also socially, of course, right? And being able to differentiate, okay, that person is doing X, Y, and Z, that's their power to choose, but what's my power to choose? Who am I and how do I want to be in the world? So that is something that we are, trying to help them understand. These things take time. One book that's been really helpful for this lesson is the series The Power to Choose. It's called What Should Danny Do? So we have all the books. We have Darla too. I'll go ahead and link down below if you're watching on YouTube. But that book has really been helpful in helping them understand, okay, how do different choices impact their day, impact their life, impact their relationships? Okay, so that's number one caveat, is that the power to choose is something that we're regularly coming back to as a family. Number two, I feel like I have a pretty good idea on the kids in her classroom, their names, the different dynamics. We're always talking about those things. Of course, it takes time to slowly gather this information, but I feel like I have a pretty good lay of the land, which helps, right? It helps when they come back and do certain things and I'm like, that sounds like so-and-so. You know what I mean? So that would be another tip, is just always try to keep tabs from your child's perspective of who's who in the classroom, who does what is the classroom culture overall. Okay, let's get into the steps that I take when I notice that my child is maybe reenacting something they have seen in the classroom. It's not really looking like them, it's looking like somebody else. So the number one step to this, and the most important step, is to, without judgment, try to draw their awareness to what they're doing. Oftentimes we reenact things we don't even realize. I remember as a kid doing this, where I would take on different accents and different things and I wouldn't even realize it. So without judgment, you want to curiously bring their attention to what they're doing. It can simply look like saying, I notice you're doing XYZ. I haven't seen you do that before, or I haven't seen seen you do that in a while. Did you just notice that? Now, you see how I'm smiling? You see the tone? Like, I'm just like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Like, do you notice that too? That is the tone you want to bring, right? You don't want to be like, oh, why are you doing that? That's not how we act. You know what I mean? You don't want to come at it from that angle because that's going to induce shame. Your child's going to feel a little bit judged, a little bit criticized. So you just want to bring it up to them and ask them, oh, have you noticed that too? So after you draw awareness in step 1, you want to ask them directly, have you seen somebody at school do that? And this is where you're making the bridge, right? You're making the bridge between their awareness and the behavior that they're doing to where they saw that behavior, right? If we kind of can understand, oh, that's not really something we normally do, well, then you want to help your child understand, well, where did you learn that from? Where did you see that? And so you directly ask, oh, did you notice that at school? Did somebody else do that? To which oftentimes kids will be like, oh yeah, so-and-so did that. And then they'll start to tell a story about what they saw, what they heard. And this is how you know you're striking gold as a parent, right? Because the minute your child opens up to you, shares their world, now you are better understanding them, right? There's so much we do not know about what happens at school. And so the more our child can come to us and share what's happening, the more we're gonna be more informed and we're gonna have a window into their world. Which brings me to step 3. After they're sharing that with you, with thanking them, right? Knowing that, you know, they don't have to open up about these things. And I think it's especially easy for us if we have young children that are always talking and sharing and open up. We can take that for granted, okay? And we don't want to take that for granted because as they get older, okay, they might stop talking to us and we might be like, oh my gosh, right? You used to tell me so much and what happened? So you want to lead with thanking them, lead with gratitude. Thank you for sharing that with me. And adding in, it makes so much sense that you would come home and want to reenact these things. Like, it makes sense. Right there, what you're doing is you're normalizing what they're doing. You're not shaming them and you're actually saying, you know what, actually this is pretty normal. Like, we all do this. We all see something and then want to process and understand it and learn it better. So we reenact it. We do the behavior so that we can try to make sense of it. And so you want to help your child learn this. This is part of self-awareness. So step 1, curiously without judgment, drawing awareness to what they're doing. Step 2, directly ask them, hey, did you learn this from somewhere? Did you see this from somewhere? Step 3, thank them for opening up to you if they do about a certain scenario in the classroom. And then step 4 is to empower them and to make it a teaching moment. Okay, it makes sense that you wanted to come home and reenact this, but I want you to know you are a leader. I am always saying this to my daughters, and I know maybe it's controversial to some people. It's not controversial to me. I want to raise leaders, okay, who think for themselves. They're critical thinkers and they lead with positivity, with good choices, with kindness and empathy towards others, for being focused on their studies and making good friends, but you know, having discernment about who they spend time with and who they don't. I want them to know that they are leaders and that they have the power to choose, right? They have the power to make these choices for them. And the more that they make good choices in their environment, the more they inspire others to do well. So I want my daughters to know, right? I want them to feel empowered when they're at school and they're exposed to all of the other personalities in the classroom. I want them to know who they are. And for me, a huge value that I have is that they are leaders. Now, sometimes we gotta follow, especially the teacher. There's a time and place to be a follower, but overall, my babies are leaders, okay? So this is the opportunity that I bolster that up for them. Okay, well now we get to decide, is this how you wanna be, right? And not in a judgment way, but like, okay, let's think about this. Let's think carefully about these things. Let's slow down and really think about who do we wanna be. So this is where I say very bluntly, you might have seen your friend or whoever doing that in the classroom, but I want you to know you always have the power to choose. You get to decide how you want to show up. So quick summary, draw their awareness to the behavior because oftentimes this is very unconscious, especially for young children. Ask them directly, did you see this from somewhere in the classroom, from somebody in the classroom? You know, let's think about this. Where might have you seen this? Thank them for sharing and encourage them to share more. And step 4 is to empower them and remind them of themselves. You might have seen this from somewhere, but let's think about this critically. You have the power to choose. So let's decide how we want to react so we can make other choices in the future. And this is how you turn this into a teaching moment without inducing shame, without hopefully not inducing more secrecy. Oh, I don't want to mention so-and-so because he don't make good choices and I know what my mama thinks about him, right? Like, hopefully, you know, if we do this carefully, and we're not going to be perfect at this, but hopefully your child walks away with like, okay, like my mama gets me, she's not judging me, but I feel more empowered. That's the goal, right? To help our children feel more empowered in who they are, especially in the classroom. I hope this was helpful. I just launched a free ebook all on helping our child with their big feelings, including anger and aggressive behaviors. So I walk through the psychology of anger so you can understand your child more deeply and clearly in the moment. I also give you a 3-step plan, whether your child is angry, frustrated, feeling defeated, or flat out losing it and getting aggressive. And I also share some helpful mindset shifts to help you become more present, hopefully a little bit calmer, more patient in the moment. So all you have to do to download the free book is go to themomspsychologist.com/ebook to download the free ebook. That is it for this episode. I hope it was helpful. Let me know down in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube if you have any other questions about, you know, navigating school and these dynamics and picking up negative behaviors. Let's talk about it, okay? Because it's not always easy to navigate these things. So let me know down in the comments if you have any other questions, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.